BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I am your regular Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags, aka VHS82 apostrophe with you. It is random week. It is week 436, the beginning of a very long month, and within that month, man, we got Mondo Macabro coming. We've got Video Nasties Volume 2 at the end of the month, and a whole bunch of random goodness. Man, today I got for you Tobe Hooper's seminal 1974 classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The reason why I decided to go with this, it's only been in once before early on in BodyBags history, and I am going to be part of a retrospective look at the entire franchise via podcast with Glenn and Will later on tonight. Very looking forward to getting into this thing, man. So I have done nothing but try to soak up, man, for the last few days, man. Cramp session galore. Did I say gore? Galore. Man, and just soak things up. But I thought, you know what? Why not revisit the original, since Glenn is going to revisit, or he's going to look at TCM 22 that just unleashed on Netflix. That's going to drop here on Monday. So I figured you guys have already had a chance to see it. So I thought I would go with the original, since it is going to be fresh on my mind, right? So I don't know. Hopefully I can add something new to the discussion. This thing has been talked about ad nauseum, man. And that's not bad. It's just, man, coming across something new. And I hope I can bring you something new. This is my Dark Skies release, 2 DVD set. It's got the Shocking Truth documentary on there, which is really cool. The transfer is really awesome. It's a great release. I've never upgraded from this. I love the cover art. It's a steel book. I'm not big on steel books, but man, it's just, I mean, it's freaking awesome. $5 at Walmart. You can't complain with that. So quick synopsis, man. Who doesn't know about the freaking Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Chainsaw, 2 words. Later on, it'll be 1 word. That's interesting. But quick synopsis. Kids, man, are on their way out to the small town of Texas, to visit a graveyard where Grandma and Grandpa are buried. And the fear is their graves have been tampered with. There's been some desecration. Of course, we see this, a little bit of it, in the beginning, first few frames of the film. Daniel Pearl, man, the cinematography in this, well, man, it's unparalleled, I think, man. Anyway, so it's a pretty good reason, man, to be in this place. And so when they get there and realize that Grandma and Grandpa are fine, their graves are fine, they decide to go try to get some gas at a gas station, and then they're going to head up to the old Hardesty house, where they, reminisce, I guess, which is really strange. I'll try to get into that in a minute. And so on their way, they pick up a hitchhiker, Ed Neal, of course. We'll get to know this family really well. Drayton, Nubins. Eventually, we'll meet Chop Top in the second film. Of course, Leatherface, right? Either Jed or Bubba, whichever timeline name you want to go with. So we'll be introduced to the Sawyer clan. And really, the original film is freaking awesome because it lends itself to a lot of amazing questions if you just think about a few things, which I'm going to bring up here momentarily. So they fail to get gas at the gas station. They're run out of gas. And so on their way out to the Hardesty house, they pick up the hitchhiker, Ed Neal, which is a scene in of itself, man. It's just freaking, you kind of get a little insight into how loony this family is. And so that whole thing unfolds. They end up kicking him out. And it's curious, when they do kick him out, he had cut himself on his hand. And so he has, of course, got blood all over his hand. And when he gets out, it kind of makes this weird symbol of effect or whatever on the van. And there it really starts to play into this notion of not just luck, but destiny or fate, providence, in a really negative way. An ill-fated course that, regardless of what they may try or not do, they are destined to a not so good end. If you've seen this movie, man, I was thinking, it was said in a review I was reading where the name lends about as much power to the film. They didn't say this, but I was thinking to myself, since Jaws, maybe? I mean, you say the word Jaws and we all know. You say the word Texas Chainsaw, we know. Whether or not you've even seen the movie, I mean, that's how much it seeped into our public conscious or discourse or whatever. So anyways, no gas at the gas station. They head on up to the Hardesty place. And then Kirk and Pam will make the ill-fated choice of not only going out to see this, where the old river hole was, hoping to take a swim. It's a dry riverbed now, and they hear a generator off in the distance. Kirk hopes that maybe they can swindle some gas out of the homeowners there. Little do they know, of course, they're about to step onto the premises of the Sawyer clan. And the moment Kirk walks into the house and looks a little too far in, sledgehammer will come down, the steel door will slam shut. And man, this 13, 14-year-old, however old I was, that moment left an indelible mark on me that is with me to this very day. That first time, man, is a zinger, man. And then eventually, Pam will go in and to her demise, and then that starts the real chain of effect that will bring this movie to a finale that is, I'll still say, man, unparalleled in film history. There's nothing like that dinner scene at the end, and we all know, all of us have seen this. So the point, let's bring a few things new into this discussion, maybe. A few things stand out to me when I watch this movie now. First of all, the whole point on getting there, we always talk about reason and motive always ends up not really being great in these types of movies. But in this case, you can't fault these kids for wanting to check on their grandparents' grave. And while they're there, there's this old drunk laying out on the grass who says something to Franklin, or he's just kind of murmuring off something to the effect of things happen there and no one talks about, and it sort of opens up your imagination to what's been going on, man, around this town. What are we hiding underneath the rug, per se? And it's interesting. When they get to the Hardesty house, they're up onto the porch. They notice, one of them notices sort of like a hanging totem. And it's interesting. Nothing really is said of it, but when you think about it, you see it again in Leatherface, the 2017 film from our French directors, when there's a deleted scene when Sheriff Hartman is at his daughter's grave grieving. He'll hear this unnatural sound, and he'll look up into the branches, and he will see this sort of hanging totem. And what you can gather is just this is how the Sawyers lay claim to those things that they have taken from people, be it the Hardesty house in the original seminal film or Hartman's daughter's grave. This is their doing. This is how they lay claim, which opens up a lot of interesting questions. And the dry riverbed that Kirk and Pam stumble upon, Franklin talks about the good old days when him and Sally would come out there to the grandparents' house. And it just really does beg a question. Back in that day, you've got the Sawyers living over there. You got the Hardestys living over there. You've got this river hole. They're swimming in the river hole. Nobody ever gets killed, presumably. We're not told. Nobody ever gets killed. There's never a conflict, presumably, between the Hardestys and the Sawyers. You would presume the granddads maybe worked with each other at the slaughterhouse. Maybe, perhaps. But there's this whole history there that is fascinating, and no one has really gone into it. The only film that's in the entire franchise that's gone really close into this, or at least from a very slight outside looking in, is Leatherface 2017, albeit very imperfectly, but they have come maybe the closest, I think. It's interesting. There is, I want to know, man, I want to know what that, when Franklin talks about that, I want to know what that was like, what that was about. And so I think, there's just a couple things. When Sally makes the ill-fated choice to push Franklin through, the rough terrain, because they, it's darkness has settled on. Their friends are nowhere to be found. They haven't, and which is the brilliance of this movie, man. The minute Kirk and Pam go off, and then when their buddy, can't remember his name, man, goes out He doesn't come back. It leaves the two. They have no choice, man, but to go. Their van, I don't even think they have the keys to their van, to be honest. But what do you do in that circumstance? I mean, this is all fresh. Our minds are riddled down with all the films we've always seen. But I mean, in 74, this is a new concept, sort of. You know, this is something new that audiences are dealing with. And so it's so brilliant, Tobe Hooper, how he carries this along and ratchets it up the tension and creates a very plausible, very scary idea here, stretched out across an hour and a half or whatever, to its climactic moment at the dinner table. But it does lend itself to a lot of sort of, oh man, just the history. When did the slaughterhouse fail? Why did the Sawyers end up where they're at? You know, I mean, is it Leatherface 2017 maybe the best opportunity to have fun with imaginatively? I don't know if any other movie has really sparked that kind of intriguing, looking into it. I don't know. It's when you watch this movie and you think about some of these things and how much you would have longed for Leatherface 2017 to have had a bit of a better approach, and done it a little bit better, or maybe even the remake and the prequel, how they really missed the opportunity to go back and revisit some of these ideas, I think. Of course, the latter sequels, even TCM 22 had completely missed the boat on the history of the Sawyers, the family, really. Where's the family? Family's not even in that movie. But that's neither here or there. So with TCM 22 unleashed and a franchise being re-examined or looked at perhaps by some like me and others, it does, beg the question, why has Tobe Hooper's seminal work and his follow-up sequel, which is one of my most favorite movies ever, why couldn't have anyone ever leapt off the foundation he sort of laid? It's like everyone keeps missing the mark, and I don't understand why. It doesn't seem like it would be that difficult. So anyways, real quick, just in case you wondered, my ordering of the franchise, obviously TCM 74, number 1, it is the all-time best, man. Followed up with TCM 2 from 86, man, and that is for me a 10 out of 10 in terms of watchability. That is my comfort food. That is the only film, man, out of the entire franchise that's like comfort food to me, man. Leatherface 17, number 3. TCM 22 at 4. From TCM 22, it really starts to go down for me. You got the beginning at number 5 from 06, and then the remake from 03 at number 6. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, part 3 from 90, 8, TCM 3D, and 9, Next Generation from 94. For me, the remake in the beginning, it's so nihilistic. It's so devoid of the spirit of Hooper. I don't know. For me, I have a hard time. I know people rank those movies really high, and structurally, they're probably really well. I revisited them lately, and I don't know, man. For me, it is the seminal 74. But even more importantly, man, it's the opportunity that keeps on getting missed over and over, and that is to take what he did with part 2 and move that story forward. And I often think, man, Hooper's eaten alive, man. Isn't some distant relative to this whole Texas clan. And if you know anything about Hooper's wanted to do Beyond the Valley of the Texas Chainsaw, which was going to involve numerous members of this clan living in a village, that is a pretty cool thought. But didn't have the money or the resources, so it is what it is. We got part 2, which is freaking awesome. Anyways, enough said on TCM. I hope I said something new to the conversation. Anyways, we leave these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.